Good morning, everyone. It is a bright and it's sunny day today out here. And before I get started working on some projects today, I really need to harvest the garden this morning. So we've got a bunch of red jalapeno peppers out here. We've been letting them sit on the plant and turn red. So we've used some of them already to make some sriracha sauce. Very, very hot sriracha sauce, I might add. And we've let a bunch more of these jalapeno peppers turn red. So I want to try to smoke those peppers and dry them, and that's how you make chipotle peppers. So I'm going to try to take these red jalapeno peppers, turn them into chipotle peppers. I've got a ton of colored bell peppers that need picked. I grow colored bell peppers every year. And then we've got a bunch of tomato plants here. We've had a really good year on tomatoes, and we'll see how many tomatoes we can get as well. So I brought with me the little tub today. This is about a 15-gallon tub. So we're gonna see if we can fill this up with some vegetables. So let's go harvest the garden. Oh man, that thing is massive. I think I'm a little bit out of breath trying to carry all those tomatoes. That's probably at least 80 pounds, in there. That's probably at least a 15-gallon tub. Um, we have 15 tomato plants and we're getting a ton of tomatoes, way more than we can use. In fact, my wife probably picked that many last week, and Rebecca took them all to work with her and gave them away. So we are just getting way more tomatoes than we need. So 15 tomato plants is a little bit of overkill, probably. But I like trying out different varieties to see which ones work best. So the one that I like the best so far that impressed me the most this year was this Alpolka paste tomato. And it didn't really start off great, I don't think, at the beginning of the season. But like right now, these things are just doing really great. Um, but this is how big this Alpolka paste tomato is. And these things are doing fantastic. That's one of the biggest ones. So the average size is a little closer to this. This may be a little bit bigger than average, but this is close to the average size off of that Alpolka. And these things are just really nice, beefy tomatoes. So I also grew the Amish paste because everybody loves Amish paste tomatoes. I used to grow Romas, and they were always really small. And the Amish paste is not a bad size. This is probably one of the bigger ones, and it's close to a baseball size on the bigger end. And still, it's just not as beefy as that Alpolka tomato. So anyway, I'd say the Alpolka is definitely a variety that will grow again next year, and maybe next year we'll cut back on the tomato plants just a little bit. So we're done harvesting the garden now. So now I want to go ahead and try to make some chipotle peppers. So I need to take those jalapenos that have turned red. You can use green jalapenos, but I'm using those old jalapenos that have been on there for a while. A lot of them had like lines and stuff, the little cracks that was kind of forming in them when when jalapenos are on the vine for a while. That isn't going to be a problem with making chipotles out of those. But what I will do is some of those had started going soft. So any of the soft ones, I'll probably throw those out and just keep the nice firm jalapenos to make the chipotles out of. And we'll probably cut the tops off of them. We'll probably kind of put a little bit of a slit down the side of the jalapeno pepper. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put them in the pellet grill to smoke them in there. So making chipotle peppers was actually something I wanted to do for a while now, and this year we finally was able to do it. We had plenty of extra jalapenos. We had nice big jalapenos this year. We were able to let those turn red and smoke them in the pellet grill to make chipotles. So we used hickory wood pellets. We smoked them for about 8 hours in between about 180 and 200 degrees, and after 8 hours they were nice and smoky, but by no means were they dry. So we had to finish them off in the dehydrator. And since we ended up cutting the tops off, and we just kind of slid a hole in the side for the interior to help the interior dry, they're basically a whole pepper. And it took an additional 5 days in the dehydrator to finally make them completely dry all the way through to the middle. And ended up with a 1 big gallon bag full of chipotle peppers. And I can't wait to actually try these out and try to start cooking with them. So that didn't take care of all those jalapenos we picked. We picked almost, I think it was around 7 gallons worth of jalapenos. So the rest of them we took and we quartered. We basically slit in each jalapeno into 4 pieces, put them in the dehydrator, and in those smaller pieces they were able to dehydrate quicker. So I got about a little more than a half gallon bag full of all these dehydrated jalapenos right here. So these I'll probably, I can probably use these while cooking. I thought you could grind these up, maybe make red pepper flakes out of them. And then I'll probably grind them up and use them in deer sausage this winter. So when I make deer sausage, I do like to make a jalapeno flavored, deer sausage and summer sausage. And I have put jalapenos in the past in them. And you can buy like dried jalapenos to put in them, but now I've got my own dried jalapenos, so I'll probably just chop these up and put these in deer sausage this winter. Now all the tomatoes we ended up picking, I had no idea when we started that we'd actually would have had that many tomatoes when I started. I thought maybe I'd just fill the bottom of that tub and then move on to peppers, and it filled that whole tub. And the problem was that there was so much weight there that the tomatoes in the bottom of that tub, they actually got smushed and flattened, and so a bunch of them were smashed and split open. And we didn't really process the tomatoes that day. We waited a couple days before we processed them. So all the tomatoes that were that got smashed or were split open or had bad spots on them, we kind of sorted through them. And so about a third of the tomatoes were in that condition. We gave those to the chickens and they just demolished them. The chickens just love the tomatoes. And then so we ended up with about 2/3 of that tub. We kept some of them out for slicing, but the rest we turned into tomato paste. and we cooked that tomato paste down probably the puree down past half. It was a pretty thick tomato sauce. We ended up with like only 7 quarts of tomato sauce when we were done. So that may sound funny when you end up with like, oh, I was like, oh, you probably got 40 pounds worth of tomatoes that you're processing, and you end up with like 7 quarts of tomato sauce. Doesn't seem like much when you're finished. But anyway, that was a pretty good harvest, and it's like a week later, and there's just as much out there this week, and tomorrow I'll probably go harvest it again and get more peppers and tomatoes and everything. So it's just a continual process. It's amazing how much we're getting off the garden this year. But follow along. We got a lot we're doing out here on the property, and thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.